I look for something that is transcendental, that is not a fad or a fashion or something superficial, but aiming at something that is to the core of being. And I also like to look for beauty, which is something that is not fashionable nowadays. And I would like to reach to something beautiful. I don't have in mind selling the paintings as I paint them. As a matter of fact, I feel a little bit sad when they go. It's a good experience to exhibit in galleries. It is an opportunity to meet your friends and show your paintings, and it is a joyful occasion. I have had some shows in which nothing is sold, and one occasion in which almost everything was sold on the first night, which is a secondary benefit of having an exhibit. Originally from Chile, and I came to North America when I was 23. I am a physician, a child psychiatrist, and I retired in the year 2000. The same day that I retired, I began art school at the Maryland Institute College of Art. And since then, I have been working as an artist full-time and enjoying it thoroughly. I have many ideas. It is like a game that you can try many things, and you try to be free of limitations, and that is fun. And more than fun, it is rewarding spiritually. And it's now so ingrained in me that I get up and I go and paint a scene without planning it. I just do it. Yet I had a feeling of incompleteness. I wanted something more. The other aspect of my education is that I have gone to a lot of museums many times, and I have listened to conferences and lectures. Anthony Tapias will be the first, Richard Lieberkorn, Wilhelm de Kooning, that inspires everybody. And well, there are so many, Matisse. I started painting when I came to North America. I bought paint and canvas and I painted. I remember that I painted a portrait of Caligula, and it was very primitive and amateurish, but it has a story. It was stolen. It was such an amateur thing, but somebody liked it and stole it. 10 years before I went to art school, I wanted to paint figuratively and realistically, and I thought my idea was to do a painting of the flag of Maryland, but all wrinkled, and do the complex amount of paintings and angles and pieces. But then I gave up, and I remember one time I was painting in a class, and the teacher said, "That is painterly. meaning that it is the action of the painter is evident in the painting, and I felt that it was fun to play with the paint. The academic painting in the 19th century and the 20th became very sterile because they were so full of rules and regulations and aesthetic concepts that were inhibiting work. So people felt that beauty was a block to the creativity, and they wanted to do things that would not be beautiful. And they have produced things that are difficult to call art, but they are recognized as such nowadays. And I haven't had the appeal to do something non-painterly. There are people who, like Wolfgang Lieb, who collects pollen of the flowers, spends the whole summer collecting pollen, and then makes piles of pollen in the floor of the museum. And I like it. I think it's nice, but and he is trying to establish an intimate contact with nature. But I don't feel like I would like to do that type of thing. Don Quixote and the Windmills is a small painting that I did one afternoon. And I began by doing a black star-like figure. And I began to modify it a little bit. And then suddenly I decided to stop and see what did I see in it. And it could be seen as representing the windmill asp, the wings, and Don Quixote with a lance, and but all very non-realistically, and I enjoy that, and I like Don Quixote the novel. So I thought it was fun to have it. Going to a period of emphasis in some specific thing, like the Banquet of Plato. And I read it and read commentaries and read about it, and I'm very invested in this book. And then I paint with the idea that whatever I will paint will be related to the book. And that is particularly easy because it is 7 species. So I do 7 paintings. And but the idea is I don't guide the painting to be one thing. It is difficult to explain, and I have been trying to explain it for a long time. What is the connection between these ideas that are abstract and words, and how can they be expressed in metaphor in a painting? And I don't know if it is possible or not, but I'll keep trying. In the case of Don Quixote, I started doing a black drawing, and then that reminded me of Don Quixote. But usually I have an initial drawing or painting, and as I go painting it, some aspects become more important than others, or become too important, and I modify and modify, and then the painting doesn't look at all like it began. And but that is something that you do intuitively. You don't want to think about it, but feel it and do it as it feels. And as I say, the outcome may be very different from what you began, but it has a life of its own. And if it is successful, it is one piece that is coordinated and harmonious. How do I know when I am finished with a painting? I don't really know. It is always a little bit of a game of chance to stop or to continue. Sometimes I have stopped in what seemed to me prematurely. And then I realized that it was a very good moment to stop and that the painting is completed. Other times I go over and over and over, and sometimes Jim takes it away from me. Well, it's interesting because Oranges has a black figure which is similar to that of Don Quixote. And I put it in place for amusement. And then it began to have a life of its own. And I modified the length of the limbs and so on. And I wanted to have a painting that was early evening, late afternoon. It begins to get dark. And I also wanted to be magic. And I had this drawing that we call Oranges, that it could be a series of oranges falling or rotating, or it could be the orbit of a planet as it goes around, or it can be mushrooms growing in the field. And it doesn't matter. What matters is that these entities that are moving, and some seem to fall and explode, and about my painting his first day on the countryside, is something that is interesting because I did what I used to do with children when I interviewed them in my practice. I used to put a piece of paper and ask them to make a line, any line. And then I would assist them in making a figure out of this line. So with this painting, I did a line with medium. So it was three-dimensional. And then I began to paint, trying to get a figure. And I didn't put much emphasis on the figure, but on the color. And it was a boy. Although there isn't actual painting of a boy, but it has the spirit. And it seems to be covered with things. And I sort of imagine a boy that is going for the first time to the countryside and carrying a lot of things to do in the country. Speaking of negotiation, it's a very simple piece that is nevertheless quite interesting, I think. There are these two figures, the one that seem to be fingers, one with 4 and another with 3. The 4 fingers are thin and longer, the 3 are shorter and thicker. And I imagine that this is 2 people negotiating, and one says, I offer 4, and I offer 3, and they are negotiating something. And it is very minimal, the painting, but I think that it has that characteristic that something is happening between the 2 persons, and it is significant. What do I want the viewer to get out of my painting? I want them to open themselves to the experience, and if I can elicit something positive, rewarding, I will be delighted. I don't believe that I can cause them to understand exactly what I was thinking when I painted it, because, as I said, some of these figures are very abstract and depend on many features. So I don't imagine that I can go beyond giving some general idea of dynamism or passivity, joy, sadness, activity, and so on. Minotauro is one of the paintings that began like an exploration and then acquired a personality of its own. I did the first line, the horns of the Minotauros, and but I didn't intend to do that. I just made a curve. And then I began to think that it looked like the horns of a bull. And then I added some black paint to add some support to these horns. And then I did a slight this design of a bull, imitating a little bit the painter of the caves of Altamira, but not as well as they did. And then I thought of the Minotaurus, which is half a bull, half man. And I thought of the bullfighters, which is a remnant of the bull, the ceremonies that they did with rules in Crete. And there is this modern ritual of the matador. And so I put some red in the bottom to suggest the capes of the matadors, the toreros. And I think that is very abstract and very pleasing to me. And I don't know if people will see the bull and the toreros and the matadores and so on. But I hope they like it somehow. In conclusion, looking back at my art, I would like to say that I hope it will continue to develop, that I will have the opportunity to explore different means, and that I become more of an artist, meaning that I will look without preconceived ideas and look at things as they are, and see the beauty in nature and in everything.